Thank you, Meredith. It's been a particularly spiritual and moving day for me. I had the opportunity before I came here to go with Meredith to the site where her son's life was cut short, where now there is a beautiful mural and memorial, not just to his life, but to the things that he lived for, to the calls for peace, to the recognition of the beauty of the diversity of all of us. And as a reminder to all of us that we've got a lot more work to do. It's been a spiritual morning. Meredith, I'd note that when you uttered Nick's name for the first time, the sun came out briefly. The Lord keeps looking down on you and on him, and I know he is going to continue to provide strength for all of us. Just like Khalik, who hasn't been with us for nearly 2 decades, but yet continues to push his mom to do meaningful work every day in our communities. Continues to be there to hug moms like Meredith, and unfortunately there are too many moms like Meredith out there who have suffered this loss. This is a moment in our community where we have to think about budgets not just as dollars and cents, but as our statement of priorities and principles, and what we are willing to be for, and what we are going to stand up against. I'm here today to make clear that I'm standing up against gun violence, and I've had a history of doing that. It was in this neighborhood and neighborhoods like it across this city and across the Commonwealth where, as Attorney General, we arrested over 300 gun traffickers, took 3,200 crime guns off our streets. It's neighborhoods like this that I've fought together with these lawmakers to make sure that we have more resources for law enforcement on our streets to keep people safe. Yet notwithstanding all that work I've done with law enforcement and in law enforcement, I'm here to tell you and echo the sentiments that were shared a moment ago, that simply having a law enforcement response to addressing gun violence in our communities is not enough. It is an important part, but it is not enough. We have to make sure our young people have hope in their lives. The best way to do that, Dr. Watlington, is to make sure that they've got a wonderful classroom with great principals and teachers there to educate them. We've got to make sure that when the bell rings and these children go home, they've got a place to go where they can stay safe. They've got places like KSC that are going to nurture them. And yes, maybe Representative Harris develop a wonderful soccer star, but more importantly, teach them about how to get along with one another. Show them a path to staying safe in their communities. Address the mental health challenges that they're dealing with, the trauma that they are forced to deal with because of the violence in these communities. You know, when the cameras aren't around, one of the things I enjoy doing a lot is showing up and playing hoops at a rec center. And these kids, man, they can school me at this point. I'm 50 years old, Representative Harris. And while the game's always been slow in my brain, which helped me play well when I was younger because I used to be quick, now I am slow and the game is slow. Senator Dillon doesn't know about that yet. One of the things I notice when I play with these kids is they're struggling to deal with anger management. They're struggling to deal with processing the things that they see in their communities. And they need more help from us. And that is where we all come in, to make sure that, yeah, we're delivering on the law enforcement side and we're investing in their schools. We're also making sure that there are more KSCs out there to give these young people an opportunity to learn, to give people who are doing the righteous work like Pastor Carl Day in our communities the ability to say to someone before they pick up that gun in the first place that there is a better path, that there is a different way, and that we are here to help. And so that is why in this budget, not just a series of numbers, but a statement of my priorities, and these lawmakers' priorities. We're saying we're going to invest in preventing violence. We're going to invest in our young people. We're going to make sure they have resources there. An unprecedented $100 million fund that we're trying to create. So Dr. Dorothy has more resources at Mothers in Charge. Folks like Pastor Carl Day have the resources they need when they're on the street corners in the middle of the night. When y'all are home, they're out doing that work. And making sure that Jim Hardy has what he needs to take the beautiful love in his heart and the knowledge and power that he has as a teacher and have the resources to transfer that to more beautiful kids like this. Every child of God deserves an opportunity to grow up in a great classroom and in a safe community. And I recognize this work is not going to be completed overnight, but this is the moment where we all got to step up and do this work. I don't expect you all to pay attention to the work Chairman Harris, Chairman Hughes, and I and others do in our state budget, but just hear me on this. I'll throw out a few numbers. Today in Pennsylvania, we are sitting on a $14 billion budget surplus. I've proposed historic investments in public education and public safety. And even if we invest each and every dollar as I've proposed, we will still have an $11 billion surplus when all is said and done. But by the way, we're going to cut taxes too. Why do I share that with you? Because this is a moment where we can afford to invest. And what better to invest in than our children? What better to invest in than our communities? That is the cause of our work, to create an environment where everybody has real opportunity and real freedom. And it starts by making sure we've got safe communities and the chance for children to be able to grow up in a community with opportunity, with safety, and knowing that they are loved. We're here today to say to these kids, we love you and we value you and we are here for you. And this program's almost over. You can almost play sports again. And we're also here to say that we are committed to this. The wonderful lawmakers who are here, the advocates who are out in the community doing this work every day. And I'll close where I began by saying thank you to Meredith and telling you, Meredith, that Nick's memory will forever be a blessing, forever be a blessing. And we're going to continue to work hard for him. We're going to honor his memory. And the best way we can honor his memory and Khalik's memory is to do this righteous work. And that's the work we're all doing together. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for shedding light on these important causes. I want to thank my colleagues in Harrisburg and the General Assembly for their wonderful work to see to it these dollars make its way to the people that need it most, our children here in these communities. Thank you all very much, and with that, we'll take some questions from the media. Seeing none? Oh, there are. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you run down the nuts and bolts for us? How much is in the VIP fund? How much would you like to increase it?
We're proposing a $100 million fund to build on the tens of millions of dollars that have already been driven out during the time of my administration. $37.5 million of that would go directly to organizations like this through a competitive grant program, but organizations like this and others that have received money in the past and new organizations that will come along. This is money that we're going to be fighting hard for to secure in our budget.
Governor, you're obviously dealing with a divided legislature. Do you have support from the other side of the aisle for these kind of programs?
We funded them in the past. We're going to fund them again. What I'm proposing is an historic level of funding. We can afford to fund it. As I said a moment ago, we have a $14 billion surplus. I'm proposing to make these historic investments in our schools, in our children, and cut taxes at the same time. We'd still have an $11 billion surplus. No one in the state capitol can tell you that we don't have the resources to invest in our children. If they choose to vote no, or they choose to block these initiatives, it's because they don't care enough about these kids. They don't care enough about these neighborhoods. They don't care enough about the safety and well-being of our fellow Pennsylvanians.
Governor, can I go off topic?
Yeah, let me see. Anything else on this? Yes.
Governor, what are you doing exactly to improve the safety of the north of Philly, exactly in Kensington?
I've got a long history of working in Kensington with your council people, your mayor, and others. As Attorney General, we launched the Kensington Initiative, where we focused on ridding the community, of course, of high-level drug dealers and gun traffickers, and we made dozens of arrests in these communities. I think that was important to try and bring some safety and order to these neighborhoods. And I know Mayor Parker has an initiative here that we'll be supporting as she needs to make sure we bring more safety to these communities. Law enforcement is a critically important piece of this. So is investing in these neighborhoods, making sure the schools are well funded. There are job opportunities and economic opportunities, that those who are battling the disease of addiction, and addiction is a disease, not a crime, that they have the resources they need to get the help in their neighborhoods, in their communities. The Commonwealth stands to continue to work to provide those resources, to work in concert with Mayor Parker and her administration, with council and others, to drive the dollars out, to drive the support out any way that they feel can be supportive of their efforts. Off topic.
Just your thoughts on what's happening at the Penn campus?
My thoughts on what's happening at the University of Pennsylvania? Let me say this. People have a right to peacefully protest and to voice their objection to something they see in their neighborhood, in their community, their commonwealth, their country, or across the globe. And I support that right to peacefully protest. I hope Meredith won't mind me sharing. We had a private moment earlier today at the mural, and she shared with me that Nick probably would be part of a righteous, peaceful protest and making sure that his voice would be heard. We have to protect that right in this nation, whether we agree with a perspective or not. I think it's also important to note that peaceful protests cannot be used as an excuse for anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or any other forms of hate. And peaceful protests need to be peaceful and need to follow the rules of a campus, the rules of a city, the rules of a commonwealth. I would say to the leadership at the University of Pennsylvania, or any college or university leadership across Pennsylvania, you have not only a moral obligation, but a legal obligation to keep your students safe and free from discrimination. And I expect every university leader to uphold their legal responsibilities to ensure the safety and well-being of their campus communities. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.